How's it going, you guys? My name is Demize, and this is going to be the long-awaited best ranged loadout video. Now, this is still going to be focused on the Pumpkin Moon event, and so only includes weapons up to and including the Halloween update, and not the Frost Moon event. I will be doing a separate single video covering all the new best items for the 3 classes, which of course includes the Mage class, the Melee build, and the ranged loadout for all the new Frost Moon event items. So yeah, make sure to keep an eye out for that, and it should be coming soon, but for now, this ranged loadout is still very much capable of handling the Pumpkin Moon event solo, and you will of course be needing this info if you want to handle the much more difficult Frost Moon event. So to start off, my preferred armor set should really be no surprise, as the my armor is really the only endgame ranged armor available. There are 3 headpieces available, with each giving a 50% bonus to either arrow, bullet, or rocket damage, and all of them also come with an overall 5% boost to range critical strike chance. As for the accessories, these are generally what you want to go for to get the best TPS while still maintaining some ability that you can change depending on your playstyle. I went with all of the accessories modified to Lucky, and there's always a debate between that and Menacing, but I recently made a switch to Lucky, so it's really just up to you. As for the accessories themselves, I went with the Destroyer emblem, the Ranger emblem, the Sniper scope, the Celestial stone, and the Spooky wings. If you want to get the absolute most damage possible, you could switch out the mobility of the wings or the general stats increase of the Celestial stone for the Avenger emblem. The next thing I'm going to be talking about are the potion and buffs, which aren't really necessary, but if you really want to be as strong as possible, you could go ahead and use them. One of them I would recommend is the well-fed buff, since it helps pretty much all class types and can be acquired from quite a few sources, but I personally go with the pumpkin pie since it's quite easy to farm for. The next thing I would recommend is the archery potion if you are using arrows like the Hallowed Repeater or the Chlorophyte shot bow. The final potion that would help you out with combat for a ranged character would be the Iron Skin potion, since it can provide some more defense that the Shrumite armor doesn't really do much of. The last few potions that could be useful since they provide light in some way or another, but don't actually affect any combat, are the Shine, Night Owl, Hunter, and Spelunker potions. Now, as for probably the most important part of any loadout are of course the weapons, and there are quite a few to choose from for a ranged playstyle. There are 3 basic weapon types that the Shrumite helmets of course cover, and they are once again the weapons that shoot the arrows, bullets, or rockets. For invasion type events, which this loadout is of course focused for, I prefer to use the following weapons. For explosive type weapons to handle groups of enemies, there is the Stinger and the Jack-o'-lantern launchers, which I have found to be the most effective, but I personally like to use the Stinger the most. For bullet or gun type weapons, there are quite a few, which include the Candy Corn Rifle, the Tactical Shotgun, the Uzi, the Mega Shark, the Venus Magnum, the Coin Gun, and the Sniper Rifle. I personally prefer to use the Tactical Shotgun and the Mega Shark, simply because these 2 can share the same ammo pool, so while I do acknowledge that the Candy Corn Rifle and Coin Gun are extremely powerful, the Coin Gun literally shoots money, so that's not very ideal, and the Candy Corn Rifle requires once again to carry separate ammo, which I just don't want to do. And that's another thing that I should probably touch on, is that I'm using Chlorophyte bullets simply because they are easy to use, since they can home in on enemies, but the 2 other viable alternatives are Crystal bullets and Ichor bullets. I don't use arrow type weapons simply because I find them too slow, but they are of course a very viable way to play as a ranged character. So for those who want to know some of the best arrow type weapons, as I mentioned earlier, the Chlorophyte shot bow and Hallowed Repeater are pretty good. And I know that the stick launcher doesn't technically shoot arrows, but I would also categorize it under that. I do believe that the best modifier for all of these weapons, with the exception of the Coin Gun and maybe another, is the Unreal modifier, so when you reforge them you should aim for that. I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to go over for the items, so now let's talk about the strategy and explain my arena a little bit. Even if you don't have an arena like mine, it is still possible to do, although I will be including a download link below. But what you generally want to do is just kite the enemies back and forth, gliding down diagonally, away from Pumpkin Kings, and dodging the major attacks as much as possible. You don't need to use health potions, but it does of course help you out if you're not that good at avoiding damage. You definitely want to focus on whatever is the largest enemy spawn, as the bigger they are, the more points to drop, and the quicker the round advances. Now as for my arena, it's quite simple, but also works really well. I have a thin layer of lava on the ground that damages any enemies that touches it, and that's really the only trap I have, but the way it works is what makes it so awesome. I have 2 platforms set up that alternate between active and inactive at opposite times, so that there is always a large area for enemies to spawn, and thus keeping the spawn rates as high as possible. The other benefit of the upper platform is that it is easier to maintain the groups of hard drops, as you should only be dipping down to the lower platform when you need health, and just fly around while the upper platform is not active. By using this arena, I easily get to the final wave with 3 to 4 minutes left in the night, which would be great, but as the ranger, there's nothing to heal you effectively while you're being chased and hit by so many Pumpkin Kings, so you probably won't survive very long into the night. So just to reiterate, I'm going to be doing a new updated video covering the 3 classes with the new weapons for the Frost Moon event, so subscribe for that, and as always, if this video helped you out, go to leave me a like, and yeah, have a nice day.